What's going on, my peeps? It's your boy Lamb with Ascot Hats, Real Talk. On our next episode, we have the privilege of interviewing Dave DePew, owner of Grinders Gym in San Diego. Dave gets real transparent with us. He shares about his upbringing in a single-parent home, the struggles with not having his dad around, the major mistakes he's made in his life. Then, at the age of 17, knowing that one day he would own his own gym, how intentional he is about being the best husband and father he can be, and most of all, check this out, y'all, his legendary interview with one of the greatest, Mr. Jack LaLanne. Check out episode 2, part 1 of Ascot and Hats, Real Talk.
Action.
Here we go.
Now we can talk.
You're so fake.
You know what though?
Just because he gave you a cue now and said
I'm on, baby. But you know what? I have to say something. And this is a good compliment.
I know that's not.
Are we gonna introduce and start this off, right?
No,
No,
I'm
we're
gonna
just
get
gonna-
I'm about to give him a compliment.
Why are you gonna ruin this for me?
Today,
Yes.
you don't look as fat in this seat as you did.
How did I know that was right where that was gonna go?
And that's a compliment.
You know what? I'm gonna have to do some special things to you in post editing. Real special. You know what?
Special.
This is why I brought Dave. Because I want you to talk smack while Dave's sitting here.
Dave, I'm talking smack early.
I take it as a compliment.
That I'm
Everyone
fat?
said that.
Yeah.
No, not as fat.
Oh, damn. Dave come on all the time now,
I'll give you
baby.
credit on that. I'll give you credit on that. That was good.
Progress.
But welcome.
You know, that was supposed to be a compliment.
Get cut off.
You see how I don't wake that way? You know what that's called? It's called backhanded compliment.
No,
Back in front of him? Yeah.
He came right at you, right for the throat.
Right.
Do you see what it is?
It wasn't sneaky.
You know what that is? It's insecurity.
You were jealous.
He's worried
You
about
were
me
jealous
taking
of
over
my
kids.
sexy figure. I've noticed.
Definitely
You
not.
are
Definitely not. There are a lot of things maybe, but that's not on the list.
it's slim.
All right, can you stop talking?
But remember, round is a shape too, so as long as you're in shape.
It's an odd shape.
All right.
All right, go on.
Let's get on topic. Okay?
Yeah, so
We have a guest.
we do. Yes,
So I don't
our
have to
first
listen
guest.
to you or you as much as I had to last time, which is always a plus. So super excited. Dave DePew is here. Despite your comments, Dave is going to help me. So we had, I don't know if you saw, we had
Is this
a
your
little
outreach
clip.
remote?
Can I finish my story? Disrespect. All right. Mind your elders. So we had a little bit of a clip that came from the last episode.
Okay.
We shot, it was like 2-part episode.
Okay.
And damn it, let me
Just
tell
over
the
there
story.
giggling. Sometimes he just thinks funny things.
And I was sharing the story. I was opening up. That's what I was.
You
I
were
was
vulnerable.
opening up and I was sharing something personal.
You're being vulnerable.
I don't like that word, but I'll take it from you.
Like,
And
it's a good word. Oh.
it's okay. So I was sharing that I used to be pretty long ago. And somehow
Didn't we
that
all?
went-
Didn't we all?
that went like a little viral. People just were losing their shit. Like when I said it, because I said it,
They just
I
don't
don't know,
believe
you
it.
gotta see it. You gotta see it. The way I
They
did
wanted,
it,
they wanted proof.
no, they just
Yeah,
felt bad for me.
Oh.
No,
They
he
felt
said,
bad for me.
he said, I used to be pretty, and, I don't care anymore because I have a beautiful wife. And this, and I'm like, well, so you don't have to keep yourself together?
Yeah.
Like,
So she'd have to put up with it.
and I don't think she should have to deal with that.
So anyway, the point of that story is that I've been talking with Dave.
Okay.
But he just agreed with us, though.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Did you? No.
I don't think.
So I've been talking to Dave,
I'm just nodding my head.
Yeah, right.
and we're
Not
not.
necessarily in agreement. But just like, I'm tracking the conversation.
There we go. So I've been talking to Dave about trying to get back in shape and all these other stuff like that. And we'll kind of get into that with a little bit, if you don't mind, sharing a little of your backstory.
Sure.
We had a chance, obviously, because he's helping with training, learning a little bit about Dave's story, his gym that he'll talk about, his philosophy on not only like physically training, but really getting inside somebody's head and kind of getting in that space and really kind of figuring out So when I used to be pretty, I used to spend a lot of time in the gym. I used to throw around a lot of iron, I like fighting. You guys know, right? Yeah. And back then I met a lot of trainers. But when I sat with Dave the first time, we talked about like 2 hours.
Yeah, you did.
It's like 2 hours just talking.
Oh, wow.
And he was like basically psychoanalyzing me. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty defensive. Yeah. Like I don't, I got a pretty good wall. Yeah. And he was just really succinct in asking his questions and stuff. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you kind of got started on? Well, first of all, you got to plug the gym. So your gym is?
I have a gym. It's called Grinder Gym. It's in San Diego. The gym started in 2007 as a trek, a journey to become what it is right now. Mm. And we started with, I'll say this, I'll go back. My original idea for starting a gym goes back really, really far. Probably when I had just my own training equipment when I was a kid. I started lifting weights when I was 8. That's when I got my first weight set. When I was 12, I started building some of my own equipment. I built my own bench because I didn't have a bench. I just had all the weights. And then I joined my first professional gym when I was 17 and went to work for that gym. And I had to sort of like beg or negotiate or insist that they hire me because he wasn't really looking for any help to hire me. And I told him, I said, I'm going to own a gym one day. So I need you to hire me. I need you to allow me to work here.
So you said that at 17?
At 17.
Did you know that pretty clearly?
Yeah, I knew that was going to be, at some point I was going to own a gym. I knew I was going in the military also. So I thought, maybe once I retire from the military one day, I'll start a gym. I didn't yet know what it took or what it cost to start a gym. And I'll say, like, as I got into the industry from that point on and I started to learn what the cost was for starting a gym, it's quite discouraging. Like, it was like coming from lower middle class family, single mom struggling, we just didn't have much. And so I didn't really know how it was that I was going to be able to come up with the money to, start a gym, but I knew I was resourceful, right? Mm-hmm. I've always been resourceful. When mom said, I don't have it, right? You go to ask her for, $5. I mean, $5 would do a lot for you. You want to go out with your friends, go to the movie, get some popcorn.
I used to ask my mother for a quarter so I could go play a video game for an hour.
Yeah. But I'd be like, $5, mom. And, she's like, I don't have it. I have to pay rent, It's like, okay. And, but I learned how to make money. I learned how to go out in the neighborhood and do odd jobs and cut grass and, people give you money for that sort of stuff. So then you go out and do that. And so I've always been really resourceful, and I just knew somehow it was going to happen. And I knew how it shouldn't happen. Throughout the years, I've been able to witness people who, I've had offers. I've had people come in and say, I've got the money, you got the knowledge, let's start a gym together. And it just never felt right, And I had a few examples that I'd seen throughout the years of people who took advantage of a trainer or someone who, had that branding or the experience to work in the gym. And I've also seen a lot of people come into that space buying all the right equipment, the best building, putting all the marketing in, and it's still having not work, right? So seeing the financials many, many times over and seeing the different types of models that could operate, that you could operate as a gym. And so for a while there, I thought, well, I'll just have maybe like a small fitness studio or something. So that was kind of like the goal initially, was to have some small studio, like 1,000 square foot. I'd put like a squat rack in there and a leg press and, some things like that. And even getting to that point, it was just kind of like almost daunting, right? Yeah. Because it was like, they wanted you to have receivables, right? They want to be able to see, like, do you have people on contract, or do you have a record of can you demonstrate to us that you can pay this rent, you know? And I didn't have anything like that for some time. And so boot camps were something that I was doing for a really long time. And it was something that I didn't it's something I did as part of my personal training business, but it wasn't something that I did necessarily as a business. Right. It was a good lead magnet to bring people in. I'd offer this free boot camp. I'd show people how you could work out with little to nothing. We didn't have, at that time, it was just basically body weight.
What year is this?
Well, I started that in 95 with people who were active duty military and dependents. And then that, right around 98, 99, it blew up with a lot of active duty military that primarily it started as what they call now a fitness enhancement program for the
military. You were doing this like in parks and parking lots?
Well, I was doing this particular one I was doing on base, and we'd get about 150 service members that would show up. People who didn't actually
you would do boot camps with 150 people?
Yeah. People who didn't actually belong to the fitness enhancement program, but just wanted to come and get a workout because it was a better PT than what their command was.
Did you have other trainers helping you?
No, it was just all.
Well, just you and 150 people.
Yeah, a lot of yelling, a lot of screaming.
Yeah.
But the difference is too, like I was working. I'll say this: I was working with a population that knew what I wanted them to do. Right? I wasn't having to go in and instruct. This is how you do flutter kicks. This is how you do up downs. This is how you properly do a push up. Right. Although you do have to remind them and motivate them to do them correctly. They know how to do it.
Yeah, it was like an engaged crowd.
Yeah, so that part was pretty easy. Now then, taking that, a few years later, there's a lot I'm skipping over here, but I got out of the military, and then I find myself working full-time as a trainer, and having that military background, I started doing some boot camps and stuff out in the park. And the gym that I was personal training at, the lady who had hired me also managed the group exercise program at that gym. And she asked if I'd be interested in doing something like that, or if I could do something like that in the group exercise room if it was possible. And I said, well, it can be done anywhere. Right? She's like, yeah, you can use all the equipment that we have to do that or whatever. I was like, I don't need any equipment. And for the longest time, we didn't use anything. But then it evolved over time. It became something quite different. But initially, the boot camp itself was just more of like a class model, right? It was either something that I invited people to come to like really just once a week, and then I encouraged them to lift weights and do that sort of stuff.
So if you don't mind interjecting, because I obviously have a really clear picture of, and I showed the guys pictures of the gym.
Right, you're wondering like how did he get from?
Well, I actually had a different question, but I do want to get to that. I think it's pretty clear that a 17-year-old walking in and saying, I'm going to own a gym someday, and being convicted that way, and then wanting to do military service, which obviously also mentally and physically demanding, that kind of was a fire in terms of your purpose in life. Yeah, and I'm like, I can't tell, like people will ask me all the time, and it's like, well, what drove that? Was there a mentor? Was your dad into lifting weights? And it's like, I've heard after the fact, many years later, I heard that, my dad did some lifting in high school, right? Like everybody's like, they have that story of lifting in high school. My dad could, deadlift a lot of weight in high school. So that, shows some, some genetic potential for what it is that I've done. But there was no encouragement from anybody necessarily. If anything, it was like, I saw my mom working out, she did the whole, like, she had some straps that she hung on the door and like exercised with and did all her, adductors and the Jane Fonda type of movements and stuff. And, for me, I think the driver was seeing bigger than life, the WWE, now WWF, now WWE, right? Seeing guys like, Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, well, even before that, so like the hero for me was Junkyard Dog,
Oh, wow, yeah.
But he
I
was
totally
way
remember-
back on that.
I haven't thought of that in forever.
Yeah.
Do you know who Junkyard Dog is?
I've heard it before.
just chains, just
Yes.
walk, like, he's like Mr. T without the gold.
Yeah.
Like
He was a beast.
yeah. He was just absolutely bigger than life. And
Did you used to go to those?
no, I've never been to one. No, I certainly don't know why, but that was a big part of the beginning for me because I was looking for men to emulate. I was looking for examples because I didn't have that.
Yeah.
And, I was also I had an obsession with martial arts and watching all the martial arts films and stuff. Bruce Lee obviously was someone that I was looking at and looking at the condition of his body and how lean and he was like that for the most part was like what I really was like really honing in on. I was really focused on that. And then it was about the time when I started asking for weights, the way the story goes, and it's retold to me. I don't remember all the details, but essentially I saw Lou Ferrigno on the television on a black and white 13-inch, television. He was bigger than life.
Yeah.
And to me, this was someone who was as big, embodied the size and mass of like, Junkyard Dog, but he was cut like Bruce Lee. And to me, I was just like, this is the goal. Like this is this is amazing. And I'm thinking like, what kind of costume is that? That and then it's like you're looking at it and you're going like, that's a real person.
Yeah.
And the person that my mom was dating at the time, the guy was like, that because I was asking him, and how does someone look like that? And he said he's a bodybuilder. And I was like, of course, what's a bodybuilder? He's like someone that lifts weights to get their body to look like that. They lift a lot of weights and specifically to do that. And so at that point, my focus was on weights. I wanted to have a weight set.
Bigger.
Yeah. And
I love how you found mentorship through these people that you've never met.
none of them. Yeah. Like most of my mentors
Yeah.
were just created in my mind. It's very creative. And so like I just created these things in my mind. And obviously, some of those mentors that were really powerful at the time to get me through, some of the toughest times, have been great disappointments later on in life due to some of the things that there's
some life
shortcomings,
choices,
right? Biggest one was why am I blanking on his name right now?
Is it an actor or something?
Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
So I would watch him before watching the Cosby Show. I'd watch him, with the pen, doing the lessons. That was part of some other show. I think that was
Was
watching.
it I Spy or something? Was it that?
I can't remember what that was,
He
but
has so many-
that's
he
when
has
I
so many
first, saw him, and it that wasn't the point where he became sort of a mentor. It was during the Cosby Show,
Yeah.
right? And seeing what actually a real dad was like,
Yeah.
right? Somebody who's involved in what you do, and it's correcting you, and, in a positive way, right?
Yeah.
So that to me was not necessarily I didn't look at that and go, God, I wish I had that, or it sucks that I don't have that. I just would look at that and be like, I hope that I can create that.
Yeah.
I hope that one day I'll be able to be that kind of man. I can be that kind of dad. Yeah. Sorry.
No. I love the transparency.
So I was gonna go there, and I appreciate you sharing something so private. For me, in the time that I've known you, the thing that I see, initially the purpose is to train and become this best physical self, right? But what I see from you, and I think you kind of demonstrated that just now, is that you have just this innate love to impact people and
Definitely
help them along their journey towards their best self, and
physically and mentally,
and guide them. And one of the things that you did when we talked was you made me think, which I'll be honest is a little, a little hard to do something because I'm pretty defensive. I'm pretty comfortable in my own skin and I kind of know things. But you were asking very calmly questions that I had to think about and answer that were taking me a little deeper than I normally would allow myself to go about why I wanted to work out. You just kept asking me, like, well, why, right? Like, I get it. You like to throw weight around. You like to hit the bag and all this stuff like that. And, funny story, just to digress a little bit. First time I met Dave, I think I shared this short story with you guys. My wife, at the time was not my wife, she had trained with Dave and had some phenomenal success with programs that he had put together. We'll talk about and stuff. And so when we met, we started dating, and I was going to my own gym, and she was going to her gym, and we were both going pretty actively. Don't talk shit. I used to go to the gym, right? And I'm going now. So she goes, I want you to go check out my gym. So she took me to the gym that one time, and I walked in. I was like, holy shit, this is really cool. Yeah. Because Dave will get into like what his gym is like. That's freaking awesome. But when I walked in, he did not look like he liked me. He gave me side eye because he was close to my wife and immediately got protective. Yeah. Not asshole. Yeah. I got protective. Yeah. Right? And not in a weird way, in a good way. Yeah. Because up until then, a lot of the times, I mean, sitting next to Dave, I don't intimidate anybody. Yeah. But, I'll walk in the room, I'm not necessarily a tiny guy. Yeah. And I usually don't have an alpha personality, so I usually walk in, people kind of like, give me my space. Mm-hmm. So everyone I had met up until that point had behaved that way with me. You were the only one who looked at me and going like, who the hell are you?
And challenged you. Yeah.
And I love that. I have mad respect for you.
So there's got to be one of these.
Because I'm like, I like that. Because somebody's looking out for her. Yeah. Somebody's going like, no, I don't know who the hell this guy is. And you were just, not in an aggressive way, just in a real clear way. And you guys know that's my vibe. Yeah, like, straight up. What the hell is that?
You're like, I recognize that.
We'll come on, like, this is so-and-so. Michael.
And that's as far as conversation goes. It ends.
They walk off. Well, you didn't make the cut.
Fast forward, we got married and everything. I think I went in a couple other times. And then once we were married, he was a little bit more relaxed. Dave was a little more. And then I finally came back. To where we just like a year ago started talking about fitness journey, and it really is a journey, right? And it's frustrating. Maybe some of the people watching the show or listening can connect where you might have had a few chapters of your life where it was something that you excelled at, that you were good at, and you were known to be somebody that was really fit and strong and all these other things. And then life changes and your focuses change or whatever. You never let it go. Never let it go. But it just kind of changed. And then I look different than I would want to. Yeah. And that's why I'm talking to him, right? And circling back to what I said, the thing that I felt was really compelling about you and what you do is that you're in the people business. You have a purpose to impact people. And there isn't, if we go and look at a person, in my opinion, who is their best self, it's impossible not to consider their physical health. Yeah. That is a critical substrate to a person being their best self.
Yes.
And that's your journey.
Yeah.
And you affect them in a very powerful way because you're a presence, And you talked a little bit about the boot camps you did, but share a little bit about, like, if you don't mind, let's jump ahead a little bit, about the amazing things you do in your gym now that a lot of people do not do in a gym.
He was telling us about some of the competitions that you've hosted.
Yeah,
this phenomenal community.
We do a lot of competitions. I want to just connect the dots a little bit first, but to recap a little bit of what I was saying with the boot camps, I didn't really know that was a potential business for me. Like the boot camps itself was going to become such a prominent thing in my business for so many years, but. I did have an idea that group training as a result, as a whole, was going to be important because the demand for training with me at that time, aside from the boot camps was actually kind of like a lot of work to try to get people to go to the boot camp because it was so hard. It was such a tough thing for people to do, even though it was like no weights and stuff, just conditioning, cardio, up and down, running, sprinting, doing stuff like that. But the training itself, I through demand, I started doing groups with people instead of personal training. So it'd be like, me as a trainer and then 2, 3, 4, 5 people all at one time, running them through a circuit and stuff, to the extent where the gym that I was at, like, was just over it. Even though they were making a lot of money, they didn't want me doing that anymore. And I was making money, they were making money, but they have members complaining that we're taking up all the equipment and stuff like that. So I for a while, I just kind of went from gym after gym, just trying to do this. And it was, right after that, I found a really nice studio that had a later, they were super welcoming, amazing guy that runs a studio, super welcoming. But then there was kind of, my presence was almost threatening to his business, because it's like he's trying to build his thing. And then I'm bringing all these people in, and it's Dave DePew this and Dave DePew that. And so I eventually leave there. I go to another gym, and that gym is where the group training really kicked off, but more of a focus on youth, right? Because I saw, again, this is just me being adaptive. I saw gaps, and I loved working with kids. And I had a story of my own where it was like, I didn't play sports in school. I had coaches wanting me to play sports, but for me, it was just like, well, I'll teach these kids weight training, and I'll get them stronger, and I'll get them faster. And then let's see where that goes. And I studied the sports and created a youth strength conditioning program for ages like 8 to 18. And that took off, and that was doing really well for a while. And then I wanted to be closer to home. So I started like trying to shifting, and I wanted to like see if I could scale this to have more than one location. And that proved to be difficult. I started up in another gym, and that became more about personal training. So then I ran like a personal training department there, and had several trainers that were contracted under me. I did most of the nutrition, and then pushed most of the training onto them. And that went on for a few years. I started my radio show at that time, and that ran from, I continued to do that from like 2003 to about 2007 when I started doing that. And so from I ended up selling the personal training clientele to those trainers, moving up to Escondido, where I live, and trying to get things going out of a gym there in Escondido. That didn't work out. And so, as it were, I kind of was in a state where I was like, now due to a non-compete, I was having to go further away from home, and I was doing in-home training. And I get a call from a production company out of Orange County that sees my website, sees the transformations, because I had many before and afters on my website. They see the transformations, and they say, we're looking for a transformation guy to run a group training program. And so they contacted me about that and asked to meet with me. I met with the production manager, the owner of the president of the production company, the CEO of Body by Jake, which was a very popular infomercial company at that time. Excuse me. Did a lot of equipment, like ab machines and things like that. And so they hired me to run a testimonial group, is what it's called. So in the industry, because it's very difficult to collect real testimonies, you have to sort of cast it, right? You have to go out and you have to find people who are willing to commit to using the product. And then the hope is that these people that you work with over this period of time are going to get significant results that you can air in the infomercial.
You spend a lot of time recruiting.
You spend about a couple weeks. Like with the typical thing was we'd run ads and we'd get, 300, 400 phone calls and then set appointments and turn that into maybe an orientation where we would, then bring in 40 or 50 people and then narrow it down to 30 or so. And then after 12 weeks, their hope from the infomercial company is that they have 6 to 8 really great before and afters that are also great interviews. They're great on camera, and can tell their story, right? The story is what sells. It's not just the before and afters, but it's like why this worked for me is because of this, right?
So people can relate to it.
They can relate to it. Yeah. And so I was way better at it than they expected me to be. They started, so they normally said that they would normally start with a group of 30. They started with a group of 40 because they got a new guy on the job. They don't know if I'm going to be able to carry the weight and bring enough people to the finish. We only lost 2 people in 12 weeks, and they had way more significant before and after results than they knew what to do with. So they really they were doing everything they could to try to capture. They probably spent an extra $50,000-$60,000 just to, capture the extra before and afters. And I don't even know how many of them actually ultimately ended up making the infomercial, but it sold them on me, and I ended up, in total, not just with that production company or that client, many clients, throughout the next few years, I did 48 infomercials. So,
wow.
Yeah. So that was the,
you had a hell of a run with that.
Yeah. I had a hell of a run as long as I wanted to do it, essentially, up until the point where I was just kind of like, I'm done. Like, I don't necessarily want to do this anymore. Not because I had a, bad relationship with anybody or didn't necessarily like it. I loved the fact that we could genuinely offer people free training, right? I mean, I got paid really well, but I could basically say, if I accept you into this program, and you work really hard for me, right? I'll give you those results that you're after, right? But you have to understand that this process is 12 weeks, it's 90 days. And I can get you to that result that you want in 90 days, but you have to do everything that I tell you to do, right? It's going to be so different that if you came to me and you said, hey, Dave, I want to get in shape, and I'm evaluating your interest and how I can take you from being interested in something to being highly committed to the process, right? The difference in this way is that you have to come committed. Right, you have to enter the door ready to do everything that I tell you to, exactly how I tell it to you. And if you're struggling, you let me know so I can help fix it. I can get you the resources that you need in order to manage it better. Whereas with a client, it's more of we'll go at your pace, right? There's not any push, right? It's just all of here, take my arm, right? And then I'll guide you, right? But with the transformation process, it's more of let's go.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's do this.
There's no question.
And you can't pull back. Because if you pull back on me,
you just pull harder.
I'll
just take your arm off.
Yeah, exactly. Arm out of the socket. Yeah.
It's like you did this back.
We'll come get it.
No, the reality is that I'm actually going to let go because there's other people that I have to take care of.
Well, there's other people more committed to it.
They're more committed than you are, so I'm going to have to focus on them. It's not if you've got 3 kids and one of your kids is struggling, you don't just say, sorry, I'm going to focus on these other 2.
That's true.
Right? You pull resources,
Yes.
you come together as a family and you do what's necessary to help that one out. But when you're in that situation, unfortunately, you can't always do that. I mean, you try, you do what you can.
Yeah.
But the focus has to be on the people who are really committed. And, and that was I'd say that is the reason why I didn't like it. If there's any reason why or something that I didn't like about it, it was that more than anything else.
So your methodology now is to really guide them into a more healthy journey, mentally, physically, all that.
All of that, yes, is to get to the an understanding of what it is that it's going to do for you.
Okay.
Right. When you say you want to get in shape, I want to know why. Because do you know why? Yeah. Right. And that's the thing is that if you don't necessarily know your reason why, then you're just doing the things that I tell you to do.
Yeah.
Right. But we're not managing your expectations, and we're not knowing that even achieving those, seeing those things come to fruition, if that's even going to achieve what it is that you want.
For me, when I started working out, I worked out in high school like everybody did, track team and all that. And then
And not everybody made the track team.
Right.
So that was good.
Exactly right. And so just after my wife and I's last child, Noah, was born, 2017, I started working out, and then, kind of fell off with dealing with stuff in ministry. And then, COVID hit and all that, and then started golfing. But I just didn't like how I was looking, how I was feeling, and it was taking a major toll on my mental health. And so
The not working out.
And so because I was dealing with so much other stuff, I started going to the gym every day. And now, 2020 up to this present time, if I miss more than 2 days, I am not pleasant to be around because I need that. To stay focused. So how do you encourage people to use that as a way to preserve their mental health?
Well, I think that, fortunately now in the realm of psychology, the data, the research supports what I think most of us in the fitness industry always knew, is that, exercise is a form of therapy.
Yes.
But now they're going to the extent that they're saying that there are specific chemicals, right, that are released when you work out, when you train, when you're contracting and moving these muscles. These are hope chemicals, right? They're the things that instill a sense of hope, right? Yeah. So I've always said that your physiology and your psychology they're not the same. That's why they have different names, right? The mind and body is different, but it's intertwined. It's connected. You don't have one without the other.
Yeah,
right?
It's very symbiotic.
Right. I mean, if I take my mind out, or I take my spirit or whatever that is me out of this body, right? Then the body ceases to be what it's going to be. It's gonna fail eventually, right? And vice versa, you can't operate the body without the mind, and the mind without the body. So, and it was Jack LaLanne who actually really stressed that point. I don't know if you guys know Jack LaLanne.
Of course.
I had the pleasure of interviewing him on my radio show many years ago.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I thought about it.
He had a hell of a chain of gyms and stuff.
He did. He did everything in the industry, and he was just a remarkable person, remarkable spirit, and there's just such pure beauty in him as a person. And one of my regrets, I don't have a lot of regrets in life, but one of my regrets is not taking him up on his invitation to come and stay with him.
Really?
Yeah. And I was just like,
that might stick on you.
I really want to know what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
I didn't feel I could take you. I'd take you out in the parking lot right now.
I think I felt undeserving. Right.
Interesting.
That was a part of it. Is it's just like I don't deserve this honor, right? Maybe I'm not for sure.
We disagree with you.
We beg to differ.
We disagree with you. On that note, talking about spirit, let's open some.
Some
So
spirit.
what do we have here?
So we have Old Forester. This is the 1920 Prohibition stuff. You guys have you had it?
Old Forester, not this
Prohibition
specifically,
no.
You know I had it.
Yeah, Matt.
If you guys had to give me all this.
I don't think I've had this one.
This one's one of my favorites from Old Forester. It's a little hot. It's a 115.
Some of it, a little bit. Okay.
But
you don't have to wait till December 5th to drink it.
Really, really rich flavor, and it manages the heat really, really well. Yeah.
And don't forget, we're using our Ascot Hats.
Of course. Nothing less.
Shameless plug.
Oh, you just right. You're catching all of
There
it.
you go.
Exactly.
This is your glass. I'm going for you, bro.
That's my glass.
This is your glass.
Oh, okay.
You didn't like that glass?
Well, the guest gets it first.
Well, that's you should pour his first.
That was the glass I had in my hand.
I'm gonna add a little
He
more.
thought it mid pour. He's like, thank you.
I'm giving them his last. That's okay.
You still salty because you finally fit into the chair.
He's still got the chair on his mind.
My dude, thank you.
You need to stop staring at me.
I got my picture.
Yes, you did.
We'll see that on the Instagram.
I'm gonna leave that open so it breathes a little.
Yeah.
All right. Salud.
Cheers. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining
Thank you
us,
for
man.
having me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
You're not done yet, though.
No.
Sorry. You still got an hour to go.
All right, I'm out of the hot seat. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah? It doesn't drink like a 115, does it?
No.
Oh, you know the thing, Lem?
Drinks like a 113. No, it's just,
113 and a half.
So explain to me the
You did proper
115
sip?
and
no, I did not.
You know,
15 proof, which is basically correlated to the quantity of alcohol that is in the bottle relative to the mash bill and all that.
Sounds good.
So the higher it is, the stronger
Okay.
it is. But a lot of the times you can have a high proof whiskey that really burns.
Yeah.
Like Everclear kind of deal, right?
Yeah.
And like a moonshine deal. And
Mm.
when a distiller really manages the flavors that he's aging in there with the staves and the barrel and all of that, and then they do the appropriate cutting process and everything when they pull it, they're able to achieve something like this where you do get the strength of the ethyl alcohol and the strength of the proof, but they've managed the flavor so well that it drinks really nice and smooth.
and so your 100 proof is going to be 50% alcohol per volume, and then 200 would be
What's 115?
115. Would it be?
Come on, Sheldon.
Come on.
That math there,
You
man.
got this. You got this.
Just be around like 56% or something.
Don't look at me. I was just going to ask you to tell
Oh,
me.
yeah.
I don't know what it is.
And I can't fill out my calculator fast enough.
That's why we can read the bottle.
Yeah, I find
50, look at that, 57.5.
That's pretty good, though.
Oh.
All right, I'll give you credit on that. That's pretty good.
All right, I'll give you partial.
I'll give you Everybody's getting your props.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
What's
When I saw your eyes roll in the back of the head, I knew you was close.
Exactly. It's a buffer, you know. You hear the buzzing sound as the internet's connected on dial-up.
Dave, if you don't mind, I want to jump back. He probably does.
mine.
I don't.
He's like, I'm done.
He's like, no, I don't want anything from you.
I'm out.
I want to jump back to that part where you said you didn't think you were deserving.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's I actually am writing about this a little bit lately. I don't know that I published anything on this particular topic, but just the whole idea of not really believing that you are what people tend to make you out to be,
Yeah.
and some of that's what it's certainly true. I'm not a lot of the things that people make me out to be because people see me and project things or ideas or things about me.
They create their own vision.
They create their own vision.
Yeah. So if Jack LaLanne was alive today,
Mhm.
and you've accomplished all what you've accomplished,
Mhm.
and he said, "Man, come on, let's do something together." Are you jumping at it, or are you backing off again?
I think I would. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I would
Okay.
now.
Yeah.
I think I would make the time. But I mean, I've gone through a journey from that time until this. It's been almost 20 years.
Mhm.
Okay.
So a lot's changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important for young people to know that when you work hard, when you are committed, not just interested, committed, as you
Yeah.
said, that you deserve the opportunities that come in your direction.
Right.
They,
Well, and that word "deserve" is kind of a hard one
Mhm.
for some people to
Yeah.
digest
Mhm.
because they think they might be undeserving. But I think when you break it down and you look at how things come about for people, you can be given something,
Mhm.
right? An inheritance or a gift or something like that. This doesn't mean that you are necessarily deserving of it, and it
Right.
doesn't mean you're undeserving.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah,
It's
I'm with you.
just a means for how you came about something,
Yes.
right? If you feel that there's an imbalance and you don't necessarily deserve it, well then earn it in some way, right? Find a way to earn it. Find a way to, philanthropically, know that you're doing something. Maybe you're doing something with this gift that you've been given.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
And it doesn't even necessarily have to be financial. It could just be an attribute that you have, things that come easy to you, and you're using those gifts.
Yeah, it's what you do with those opportunities to affect community and growing yourself and growing others as well.
Absolutely.
It's so subjective. I mean, the deservance thing, it's from one person's perspective, like, oh, that person really deserves it, but someone else might be like, well, no, I know them in a different capacity.
Well, I think that the deserving part of it is not necessarily for me. I don't know if it's necessarily for me or as an individual to decide whether I deserve something or not, but just to look at it and say, you know what, this is an opportunity.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like I can be given something and I can earn something. That's the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't forget the fact that the other way of getting something is to steal it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's, I don't think anyone of their right mind and moral character is going to steal something and think that they deserve it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But some do.
Yeah.
Right. Because
unfortunately,
they're not of the right mind and moral character.
Yeah.
Right.
But the fact that you would, and I believe you're doing it now, using whatever opportunities you have that you've earned to build up someone else.
Yeah.
Those kids, those young people,
Yeah.
those young adults. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have to pay it forward.
Yes.
If you're so blessed for whatever reason to have that opportunity, then you pay that forward. Be blessed. If you're blessed to be a blessing,
Yes.
then that's
How we build the community to be a better place,
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you.
that's probably the most powerful thing.
Yeah.
That drives innately, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
To see that something like that can go through you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
It's not because of you.
Like you're a channel for that energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Being
You're just a vehicle.
A conduit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Not everybody is, man.
No.
No, I think everybody is.
People don't take advantage of it to use it for.
No, I think a lot of people, there are people in the world, and here comes the pessimist.
Who are just the user.
Yeah.
Well,
they have access to that flow, and then when that flow comes their way, it's for them.
But I'm not going to let them off the hook by saying that it's not available to them. It's a choice.
It is a choice.
Right? So they've chosen. I mean, I've had a lot of pain in my life. I've had a lot of trauma. I've had a lot of things that, I don't wish to think about. But I think about them enough to recognize that I want to make something from it and use that to make a difference for other people.
Well, why do you think you do? Because I could get somebody else in this chair who would have that same story and would say, "The hell with all of them.
Well,
I didn't get shit. I'm
could
not giving them anything either."
I could use my pain to hurt people.
Right.
And I'm not saying I haven't. I've done that in my life before.
I think everybody,
So I'm not saying I'm I have a colorful past as a young man of physically inflicting a lot of pain, and both on myself and on other people. And
do you think you went through because you explored that, and you know the damage that it causes, not only to them but to yourself, that it kind of guided you towards being as passionate as you are about this impact that you're trying and using your conduit of, connecting with people, motivating people to be their best physical self? Do you find that in the absence of, I'm gonna go to the Star Wars, go to the dark side, right? You tasted the dark side a little bit. I have.
Well, I don't even think I necessarily was ever a part of the dark side as much as I was like doing dark things, right? Dark side things.
Testing it.
Well, it's just, my empathy was very high. I didn't know how to manage my pain. I didn't know how to
Right.
not hurt other people.
Mhm.
And, I felt, we'll go back to the word we were saying, deserve,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I felt if you were trying to hurt me, then you deserved to be hurt,
Mhm.
and so I was gonna make sure that I have to stop myself today.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a choice, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It is
like,
a choice.
Yes.
someone does something,
Mhm.
unjust, my thoughts, they go to a dark place. I want to do something to hurt them,
Yeah.
right? But there's no point in my life where I've ever done something to hurt somebody that I've ever taken pleasure in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the moment,
That is an important distinction.
yeah. In the moment, I feel a certain way.
Right.
You feel that this is what's necessary, what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then immediately after, I felt such tremendous pain because of inflicting this.
Do you
pain.
think that's innate to you, or you think you learned not to enjoy it? We get deep, y'all.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever enjoyed it.
No, but I'm saying, I know that you didn't. But do you think that was like just native to you?
You're a
Just in your
psychologist on site.
character, right?
Yeah.
Or do you think that there was along the way someone taught you you're not supposed to enjoy being that way to people? Because there are people in the world who enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, my mom,
People don't wonder who I hang out with.
Yeah.
my mom, just appalled violence, and yet, she herself was a victim of a lot of violence, and seeing that, but also seeing her courage in those situations and seeing her steadfastness and just, how she would never back down. I mean, that's essentially. How I was, against my bullies, against those people that, tried to tear me down. I stood my ground, even if I knew I was going to lose the fight. And, and I knew that I was going to lose most fights. If it were 2 or 3 people that were going to pick on me and fight me, I knew I was going to lose. But if given an opportunity to run away, I chose not to run away, and then eventually, through just taking the beating over time and figuring things out, I learned how to fight my way out of those situations, and how to, cause a lot more pain in those situations than most people were expecting. And I think they were very surprised to find out that they'd messed with the wrong person.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Man, I like Dave. I'm like,
It's a good day of education.
Yeah.
Man.
I do find that.
yeah. Yeah.
So
It's like I'm going back in the timeline now. Like, I took a few lumps.
Yeah.
But people did ask the question, well, what happened to you?
Yeah.
Like, I was small and skinny, but don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Whatever's in my reach,
Yeah.
I'm going to use that, as you stated, fight your way out.
Yeah.
Until
No,
you,
I'm right there with you.
yeah,
brother.
man. Navigating your way
I
through
was a
that.
senior. I made 120 pounds.
Dude,
Same height I
I was like 97
Was that back when you were pretty too?
No, I wasn't pretty yet.
It wasn't yet.
He was on his way to prettiness.
There was a lot of surgery that we got to talk about. That's another podcast.
With the plastic surgeon.
I ask you this question. Does the trauma that you have experienced, has that trapped you in any way? Or do you use your trauma as a trampoline?
I probably would say I use it as a trampoline. I don't think it traps me in any way, but it does make me certainly more empathetic to other people's pain. Like, it's very hard for me to, as I've demonstrated here. I mean, and I'm trying to restrain the emotion as much as I can, but it's hard for me to do that.
Yeah.
Because I'm one who, like, I can't watch a movie where you're watching somebody's pain. I have to experience it. I experience every bit of that, because it's relatable to me on some level.
Yeah.
So, I've had some counseling, some obviously, when I was younger, that was very ineffective. And then fortunately I was able to get a counselor who, really helped me turn things around.
Yeah.
And made it possible for me to go into the military.
I think it's amazing that some of these counselors or social workers that we had to encounter in our adolescent years, our teenage years, they would just like full of shit. I'm like, I hated all of them.
Yeah.
And then it's not until I turned like 40, 41 years old, then this therapist that I'm very transparent about it, meet every Monday without fail, 1 p.m. to help me get over some of those things in my teenage years, 20, 30 years old, like, you know. And
a lot of these people, though, I mean, you come across them, and it's really based on the resources that they had.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't read all the books. Maybe they only read half of them.
Then they should not have been allowed.
True. But I mean, you get shitty people.
Well, I think you have to forget. I think you have to forgive people of the past, too. Because you know, if we look at it just with this simple definition, it's like you only know what you know.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. You don't have the luxury of knowing what you know.
The products of their environment.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if someone stamps a certificate, you know, for you and says, you know, you're this, right? Then I'll go to work and help people. You know, I think most people are going out into that space and doing what they think they can do to help people.
Yeah.
You know, and if their only resource that they have is, you know, limited based on their own experience and limited on their accessibility of resources, and those resources we obviously know are very, very limiting for most people, even in the space today. That I think that, you know, you even as a professional, you have to sometimes just reconcile with, well, I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
You know, and that doesn't mean that you don't try to progress and get better, right? If you're just saying I'm doing the best that I can and you don't do anything actively to try to get better as a therapist, like you're not going to seminars or doing workshops yourself, or, you know, reading more books and studying neuroscience and studying neurotropics.
But just like any other science, I mean, it continuously evolves.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it may seem tenuous and you know, you certainly, most people want to reach a point where they probably feel like they don't have to keep working so hard to, you know, stay at that level. But, you know, I guess that's what retirement's for.
Exactly. Until you reach that point.
When you reach that point, then
some people should be retiring right the hell now. They're like 50.
Or change careers. You know, like, I mean,
do something.
You could invest all this time to get into a field like psychology, and you can, you know, be a part of that and help people. And then if you reach a point where you say, like, this isn't for me anymore, then step back. I had to do that with training people. You know, it's something we hadn't discussed yet, but, you know, why did I, you know, stop doing the transformations? It was, I reached a point where, you know, I looked at myself and I just felt like, you know, this thing that I was doing for everyone else was hurting me, you know, and it was keeping me from the physical form that I wanted. It kept me from doing the training that I wanted. I was working 16 to 18 hours a day. I was convinced that I only needed about 4.5 hours sleep a night. And, you know, convinced that at some point I would spend more time with my family, you know, and all of these things just reached a point where I was just, you know, I'm done. I have to pull back on this. And my way out was, you know, we had a few people that were interested in just being members of the gym, you know, doing like what's called open gyms, the terminology that's used now. I'd say it's new terminology, maybe over the last 12 years now, because there's so many specialty gyms and CrossFit gyms and stuff like that they allot a time or a space of the gym that's considered open gym. All my gym is open gym now, regardless of what's going on. But at that time, we were like, you know, people were showing interest, and I was like, okay, well, I can, you know, charge half as much as what I charge to have people come to my gym, and I train them, and I, you know, hold them accountable and do all this. But I can make half as much if I do the open gym, and I don't have to do anything except just be open, have the doors open, and provide equipment. And so I saw a way out. I was like, okay, I can take a break and I can focus on my training and my nutrition and, you know, get myself right.
What year was this then?
You know, it's hard to say for sure. I think it probably started for me as early as 2014. This was also around the time where my son Kyle showed a tremendous interest in spending time with me. And I wanted to really hone in on that and take advantage of that. So we spent a lot of weekends going to arm wrestling competitions. He was in arm wrestling, and I was sort of interested in arm wrestling. It was something that like I liked, but I wasn't like super committed to. And he was just like head over heels. Like he was just.
I actually didn't know that. So he was kind of the catalyst.
He was more of the catalyst. I probably would have walked away from arm wrestling had he not, said like this was something that he wanted to do. So I knew that this was a way for us to bond and spend a lot of time together.
It's cool how life works like that sometimes.
I mean, I'm taking him to bars. It's crazy. It's like
Go to bars for
14 years old. It's like he's competing against like 18-year-old to 35-year-old men or whatever. Arm wrestling.
But he's hanging with Dad though.
He's hanging with Dad.
Yeah,
he's having a good
love
time.
that. Love that.
And I had a good time.
How do you?
But it goes back to what
He
you were
did
saying.
well. He technically he became professional as an arm wrestler when he was 17. And he's he's not as committed to it, but he's still involved in it today. It's something that he's very well connected in the community, and probably known way more than I am. It's like I'll go to events and with him, and it's like, oh, you're Kyle's dad. It's like, I'm like, I'm an arm wrestler too.
See, like the biggest thing I remember about arm wrestling. Remember that old movie, Sylvester Stallone, Over the Top?
Yeah.
Freaking love that movie.
Yeah.
You ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh, you didn't see it. Did you ever see that movie?
I've seen a lot of his films. It's an old.
You with me? Just join me in the no movie watching.
No, you don't watch like any
No, I
films.
know it. Yeah, I know.
Love that movie.
I'm sure, like that.
It's all about arm wrestling.
I don't know the particular time, but I mean, whenever I saw that movie, I'm sure it had an impact. I know that it was around 8th grade that I was arm wrestling everybody, and there was
I was the same too.
there was maybe 2 kids in the school that had any level of contention for me in arm wrestling in 8th grade, and then by 9th grade, I was just easily beating them.
Yeah.
And maybe if I arm wrestled them one after another, they might get me or something like that. But it was just pure strength, pure just like we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
And so I went to a lot of house parties as a young man, and I got involved in some arm wrestling. Usually at these parties, there's drinking going on. Older kids thinking they're so tough, and you challenge them to arm wrestling, and here's
spank them right in the middle of the room.
There's a small skinny guy just going through everybody. At the party.
Oh, I love
that.
That's
And now, I don't know about anybody else. I want to see Dave and Mike arm wrestle.
For what? You want to see my arm broken?
Yes. Because I'm using both hands if I.
You're not right.
If you use both hands, you still don't have a chance. Like that's.
Dang, man. Oh,
he shuts you down.
Somebody get me a table, man. I'm ready.
Your ass could lie in his palm. They still tell you
It might take all 3 of you. It might take all 3 of you just to move me a little bit. But
All right, let's do something. Yeah, hold it up. No. I'm sick of this. We got it on camera.
Just feel that.
I feel it. Shut up. All right, we ready?
Wait, you're quivering.
I'm not quivering.
It's already straight.
You ready? On your mark. And set.
He's gonna run.
To go.
I'm
so sick of this. Somebody get me an Advil. My elbows hurt. No. All right, you win, damn it. You.
I am shocked you embarrassed yourself like that.
Yes, I did. I did it for ratings.
I took one for the team. Shameless.
He's just showing his vulnerability like he did last time.
That's it. If he could cry, I could lose that arm wrestler. That's it.
If you pressed, I would have gone, I ain't doing it. I'm fucking doing it. Oh, my God. But you competed, didn't you?
Yeah, I competed. I've won quite a few competitions.
That's so cool.
I still maintain ranking on my right arm, top 10 in California.
Do you really?
Wow.
But I compete maybe once or twice a year.
You've seen some nasty arms just
Yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
I've broken a guy's arm, or I don't even like saying like I broke his arm.
No,
it just
it came off.
his arm broke. It didn't come off.
It fell off.
that bad.
It's okay. It came off.
Because of the positioning, or
It's large. I mean, there's risk. There's always risk
Oh,
involved.
okay.
Well, just like any sport, I mean,
You could be in a really bad position in one match and cause some damage, and then be in another match and actually be in a pretty good position, and then that's when it breaks, right? So that definitely wasn't the case with this guy. He was definitely in a bad position. He was a very strong guy. He took my wrist right away, and then I posted up, and then I was working to basically like get my hand and wrist control back. And so I had him like stopped right in the center, and I was working my way up on his hand. He was completely turned sideways.
Ooh.
He had his hand.
Yeah.
He had his hand in
Opened
this. He had his hand in this position, and he was hitting to the side like this.
Oh. Did
And
it
his
break
hand-
elbow?
And his hand was going right outside his shoulder, so there's all that torque right here on the humerus, and it creates what's called a spiral fracture. And when it snaps really quick, and it's like a board,
Where did it snap? Here.
right in the middle usually.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
So I've seen
X-ray it.
the guy coming across here, and then he's also compromised. Wrist down here, and
these
this right here
breaks are
pops right out of socket.
these breaks are very rare. These breaks are very rare, but they do
It
have
just popped right out of socket.
tendon tears along here, the side pressure here, like this can cause some tendon tears. Biceps, obviously,
Yeah.
if you're laying on the bicep, you can maybe experience a bicep tear there. I mean, every sport has risks,
Yes.
right?
I'm gonna stick to fundraising.
Yeah.
That's not a sport.
Anything yet?
So I'm gonna use my circuit machine.
That's it.
I mean, Kyle was 14 the first time that he had someone's arm break when he was on this 21-year-old young man. Broke his arm. It was Kyle's first win in competition. Now, keep in mind, at 14, he wasn't competing against kids his age. We actually held, for his birthday, we held a tournament at our house, and we had invited like 12 or 13 of his friends, and they all came, and he arm wrestled everyone. Like, we did a tournament, and of course he beat all his friends. And then we even did what's called a round robin, where he like arm wrestles everyone one after another, and it took like 3 rounds before someone was able to actually break him down. So like amongst his age, like there was just no one that was going to beat him.
Yeah.
So giving him a chance to pull and compete against adults, thankfully the league that we were working with at that time was gracious enough to allow it to happen, because they had a rule. It was like, to compete in that class, you have to be 18. So they made an exception for him. And so he had beat this young man, and of course, people do what they do. They tease and they're mean and whatnot. So this young man he spent the next 2-3 months like training really hard and trying to, get to a point where he could beat Kyle. And so then he came, the competition was actually the first arm wrestling competition that was held at my gym. And he was not in the best position, and his arm broke. And it was quite the experience for a lot of people watching that. We probably had, at that point, we probably had 20 or so people pull out of the competition.
Really?
And
It's like, I quit.
They just see that and they're like, we're out of here.
Yeah, I'm out of here.
He won. Just give him the
he's
trophy.
Give me the trophy now.
You got it.
I need both arms.
there were a lot of people that got up and laughed. Just like, oh, see more of this. But
I got a bad picture in my head. Could you put something in here, please?
Yeah.
I didn't need to watch it away.
I got you.
Oh my gosh.